What's up, everybody, and welcome to Moments with the Mobleys. I am your man, Johnnie Mobley Jr.
Hey y'all, I'm his wife Deirdra.
All that guessing. Be something like an ordinary couple.
With extraordinary purpose. Greetings, salutations, accolades, and blessings.
keep trying to remember the melody.
You heard it?
You was trying to remember the melody. I heard it.
Greetings, salutations.
I got this too close to me. It's all right.
Accolades and blessings.
Oh. Okay.
Whoa.
Girl, what we talking about?
Baby. Mother's Day is coming up.
Happy Mother's Day to all the mothers.
Happy Mother's Day.
She in a singing mood tonight.
To y'all mamas. Amen. I thank the Lord. We thank the Lord because our moms are still here with us. We send prayers up for those who are experiencing Mother's Day for the first time without their mom, or, just period, 2, 3, all the people who are having it kind of hard this week because it's leading up to Mother's Day.
Yeah.
And so we most definitely are praying for you.
We actually have a friend of ours who his oldest daughter is graduated from college. So is graduating from college, and it's Mother's Day, and they lost their mom a while ago. So I don't know if she thought about that or not. So, but I think she made her mom proud.
Absolutely.
And I think it's going to
all
continue.
of them are.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yes. So
and happy Mother's Day to you. I know I be saying we done had debates about you ain't my mama.
Absolutely. And I understand that. I'm not.
Okay.
Because I do things to you that they ain't.
No, they can't go in the same. It ain't even in the same state
or for you. And so.
And I don't even want to have them mixed up in no kind of way.
Absolutely, because that's nasty. So. All I said was, I do remember that we tussled about this before, and I just wanted you to, I think my thought on that is, husbands, if you have children who, are not working or can't work or just whatever,
not young,
of age, right? Younger kids, like, get them a gift to give to their mom.
What was that? You about to throw it?
No, I just burped.
Oh.
And let them honor her. The ones who are, teenagers who may be working and stuff like that, of course, they can get their own gift from mom. But my thoughts also on that was, even if they're old enough to get a gift, or as our situation, our circumstances, that our children are older, and so we should, my thoughts on it was that even though I'm not Johnny's mom, I am the mother of his children, and so that you could,
and
the sentiment would be
every
Happy Mother's Day, baby.
I honor you every single day. You know what I think they need to have?
What?
They got Mother's Day and Father's Day. Why don't they have Husband Day and Wife Day?
Well, actually, they it's not an actual holiday on the calendar, like a major holiday.
But let me
But
guess,
they have
on social media.
Yeah, and not on just on social media, but they do have like world national holidays like that.
Yeah.
So they do have those days.
I think.
But again,
those days.
As we all say, no, you got me regardless.
I do.
Don't
be nasty.
I'm not being nasty. We do have, we do honor each other, try our best to honor each other every day.
Look how you got your ring on. You on.
What you mean? Look how I got it on.
I
do wear it. Don't do that.
You don't. I gotta get the.
My band snapped, but I found a way to fix it so it's not
hurting. So let me ask you
hurt
this.
my skin.
So how many wedding rings have you gotten?
Well, I got the one when you proposed. That was the solitaire.
Mm-hmm.
I got that one, and I had that one for a long time. And then when you upgraded me, I think it was to a carrot.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I wore that for a while. Um, and then it came a period in our life where both of us, well, Johnny wasn't, you weren't driving
I ain't tell
trucks
you to
anymore.
tell no stories. You like tell? Go ahead.
Okay, well,
Go
that was
ahead.
one, and
Go ahead.
I was telling what. Okay, I don't have to tell the whole story because we do have a packed some stuff to tell y'all, so we need to get that
But
out to
tell him.
y'all.
Tell him. Tell him. Tell him what you
So
did.
that one, I was just saying, you know how many I've had, one, two, and then I think three. So this maybe three.
So the
Yeah,
second one. Tell him what happened.
I pawned it to pay the light bill, and I didn't tell you because I was mad. We were mad. We were tussling, real bad. And we both were out of work. There was, and we've shared it on an episode that we were both out of work at one period for at the same time for a whole month. And so I pawned it. I wasn't talking to him, so he didn't know it, and I pawned it to pay the light bill, and I didn't have the money to go get it. And so yeah. And then this was my this is the last one that I've gotten. And so
You remember how many carats that is?
I really do like it. I don't. I need to get it cleaned. Cause I have, you got me earrings, you got me the ring, and then I have earrings, and I have a bracelet, and I need to get the latch on that bracelet fixed as
Well,
well.
we need to get that done. But,
But
that's actually 3 carats.
is it?
Yeah, because you was talking. You know, you always talking about you wanted the 5.
Well, the next time I want one that sit up.
Joker. I was trying to get you a ring that didn't look like nobody else ring.
And I don't think it does, but you know, I love
And
it.
then I don't.
I need to get it cleaned. I love it.
The diamonds are in there good.
They're smaller and they're embedded in there.
So they all the way in, but I didn't want. My whole thing is with the whole diamond falling out and all that other stuff. I ain't
It's
got time for that.
not the one, because the next one I'm getting, you gonna create it, right?
This all this is. They got that in they good.
You're going to create that one, right?
I guess so.
Okay, thanks. But what was, there were 1, 2, 3 things that I asked you for, and you know what they are. And when I get them, I'm gonna let y'all know. You know what those are, right?
I know what 2 of them are.
My ring
I know the ring, the truck, then what else?
and my purse.
Oh, that just got it added on.
No, that's been here for a minute. Well, no, not as long as the vehicle, but
no.
In the ring. So yeah. Okay. So guys, hey, how y'all doing? For all things Mobleys, let's go ahead and plug the website www.momentswiththemobleys.com. That's our handle on all things social media, except for TikTok.
Hey,
I'm lying. Except for Twitter. What's our handle on Twitter?
Mobley Moments.
Good, sir. So Mobley Moments.
I said it slow.
Go to YouTube, look us up, listen to the podcast on there, share it with your friends, share it with people married, share it with unmarried people who want to be married. They can get some tools and tips. Also, if you didn't see, we put it on Facebook as well as Instagram. And then I think Allison did a mass email send out about us. We are SYMBIS certified, which is saving your marriage before it starts. That's premarital counseling. It's a whole program that we are now facilitators for. If you need that or know someone else who needs that service, please send them our way. We have an affordable package available for 3 90-minute sessions that will get you equipped on your journey towards marriage. Okay? And we also do couples, just for people who are already married, not just premarital. And, hit us up, info@momentswiththemobleys.com, or on social media. We get some messages via DM, but the info@momentswiththemobleys.com will send the email to us, and we check it every day. Okay? Thanks so much, guys. We appreciate y'all. What did you have to say?
Nothing.
You said I said everything.
Mm-hmm.
So, guys, we talking about sex and intimacy today. And I'm excited about it because as our team brought it to our remembrance, we did do a an episode on sex and intimacy, but that's when we first started, and we didn't have video yet. It was just audio, and so we are going to do that today. Before we get started on that, because we want to share, make sure you get all of these good nuggets and stuff like that. I was reading something today, and I sent it to Johnny. That um, is, well, I saw it on it's called theeverygirl.com. And it was saying that the five love languages got an update, and they found two new ways to express and receive love. Now, of course, y'all know that the originator of the love languages, the test, and all that stuff is Dr. Gary Chapman. Now, as far as we know, he didn't officially add these two new ones to there, but they did. This was um, conceived out of them doing a survey on eharmony.com
Mm.
about adding these. This is the two new love languages people wanted to be loved in. And I guess it was okay, so here's the percentage. eHarmony had this survey. The results reveal that 26% of people have changed the way they express love in a romantic relationship over the past year, while 25% have changed the way they prefer to receive love. Okay? And so this article actually came out May 4th of this year. So it's recent.
Mm.
And so what it was saying was that like I said, not that this was something that he came out with and added it, but that percentage of people wanted to, they weren't sure that the five love language encompassed the way that they prefer to be loved and the way that they express love. And so now enters, like I said, and I don't know if he will ever validate it
Mm.
to say that, technically, or do another book that adds in the other two. So I really just think that these are just, again, it was the eHarmony survey. But so the two new ones that they're talking about is shared experiences and emotional security. And so when I shared it with you, and like I said, we're going to be brief in adding these two because we want to get to the sex and intimacy. The shared experience is, they say it's not like the quality time, which is one of the love languages that Dr. Chapman put
Mm.
in his book, but it says quality time, that shared experiences is different from quality time. And so they say shared experiences focuses on adventuring and expanding yourself with someone versus as opposed to showing love by spending quality time together. It was saying that people who have this love language crave to create memorable experiences as a couple.
Mm.
So,
Sound like quality time to me.
it does. And so maybe, they were saying like the quality time is that they want to spend time with their partner so they can just show love. But then shared experiences, maybe quality time is just the act of being together, but then shared experience, you're actually doing an activity. But
Still
to me,
quality
it's still
time.
quality time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Somebody might just wanted to have something new to bring to the table. I
Child.
don't know. Um, but then the second one was emotional security. And so this says, of course, it says, feeling emotionally seen and taken care of is how eHarmony describes emotional security. And again, this is not Dr. Chapman. Different than seeking validation, affirmation, or praise, like those who resonate with the original love language, words of affirmation. It says emotional security they need to feel like when they take their walls down, their partner will listen to them and respect their true emotions. Is that not being emotionally giving emotional security
Mm.
with well, I mean, they all in the same ball game to me. Because when you affirm your partner, is that not offering like that
Well,
support
I
and
guess the
you know
I guess the words of affirmation is building your partner up by saying kind things to them,
mhm
custom made for them, um, based on the relationship that you have with them, to actually say, certain things. Um, so emotional security, huh?
It's saying that, they feel comfortable enough to, when they, become, like we said to one of our couples last night, to become like, naked, not just, physically, but emotionally
Yeah,
and everything like that or whatever, that they'll listen to them and respect their true emotions. I think this one may have more validity than the other one.
yeah.
Um,
That one probably does.
yeah.
Um, but it's a lot to that emotional security because some people, the emotions that they express is from a trauma place that they have not um it's from a trauma place that they have not been healed from.
Yeah.
So
They
it can
don't feel
be
comfortable.
a roller coaster with
Yeah.
that.
With being
So
unguarded and
yeah,
stuff.
because sometimes the reactions out of your emotions is based on what you see that triggers it.
Hmm.
So the person that you're with might not have been the person that actually drug you through the trauma,
Hmm.
did the trauma, but because you saw residue of something that's a trigger, then the emotional response cannot be valid towards that person. It might need to be said to somebody else that actually did it.
Hmm.
So it can be misplaced. So, and that's just me thinking right now. It's a lot. It's a lot to that. If
Yeah.
you coming from an emotionally healthy place, then yeah, I can see that.
Yeah.
But if your
And
emotions,
again,
if you're not emotionally healthy, and you all over the place on that roller coaster, then yeah,
excuse me. Well, again, this is not what the topic is. I just wanted to insert these here because this is something that I read today, and I was like, let me, share this with you and see what your thoughts are on it.
hmm,
And so those are our thoughts. One of them may have a little validity to be added, but the other
it
one
was
seems to
stretching.
be the same thing,
It
right?
was stretching.
Yeah,
We appreciate
yeah.
eHarmony and everything that they do, but that was a stretch.
But and that's our thoughts.
That's just our
Um,
thoughts.
and so let's get on to the meat of this because we're talking about sexual intimacy in marriage, and and we've been seeing, excuse me, and dealing with talking to a few of our couples about um, sex and intimacy and finding that some of them you know don't really know what it is, haven't, you know basically don't know. Some don't know, some know but don't know how to engage in it. That may not have been what they saw modeled in their home between parents or just whatever, or they just their marriage has maybe been in turmoil for a while. And so maybe when they first started courting and maybe at the beginning of the marriage, it was easy to give that, intimacy portion of it and all these things. But, maybe when, things start, the what you say, the mask came off and, you add bills and babies and all that kind of stuff on top of that, it can, slip away from you. And some, as we were talking about on the way home, some people don't realize that, and in this you'll hear us talk about it, don't realize that when it comes to that, of course, sex is, that's it's a great thing and it's a great part of it is a great thing in the marriage, but it's not the only thing in the marriage. And that's what we were talking about on the way home. I don't want to jump ahead of myself. But that intimacy is very important. And I know we heard in a session that sometimes you got to consider the fact that people don't know. You can't just think that everybody knows because you know. We can't just think that everybody knows because we know. And so we want to shed some light on that and talk about it.
But
Um,
the realness of it is we didn't know what that was when we first got together.
we didn't,
Because
but we had a lot of sex and
the
we were
fire and the
very
lust
intimate.
and the horniness and whatever else you want to call it, was very valid and thriving. So,
Yeah.
but then when you add the like you said, the other components to the marriage and the relationship, it can kind of do some stuff to some things. Your perspective change about it, because it's way different when you meet somebody and it's just you and them, and then y'all coding like you said, and then y'all fall in lust first, and then feel like this is the person, and then after sex, and oh yeah, I got to marry him or I got to marry her, and all this other stuff. But once everything else start adding in, then you see the other lanes of people characteristics and how they deal with certain things or how they don't deal with certain things or
Yeah.
whatever the case is. So that's what put a stale on it. So your perspective changes because everything has changed. So because everything has changed, it wasn't the beginning where y'all fell in love. It was just y'all was skipping on the beach and doing all this stuff. Now y'all got babies and bills, like Deidre said, and responsibilities. So the perspective begins to change.
Yeah.
But the intimacy part, I don't really believe that the intimacy part is at the beginning of most relationships.
Yeah.
I think it's just the sex part. And then the intimacy has to be learned later. Most of the time, the women are the ones who would like the intimacy, because at one time I can touch Deidre certain places and you know fireworks, and then now I gotta touch her in a
That's a
whole
lot.
whole lot more
That's a
places.
lot.
I'm just
This
saying.
is PG, sir.
I said touch. I could be saying touch you right here on your arm or something. What is you? You just go ahead with the thing. That's what
So
your mind
we
is.
we're going to talk about actually how to cultivate or rebuild sexual intimacy in marriage. That's where the angle that we're coming from, and we're on marriagetrack.com with the information that we're going to give you. And we're, of course, we always add our spin onto it. But the one thing that I was reading about this is when a lot of people get to the place, like Johnny said, some people have the sex part of it down pat. And then, and of course there are different types of intimacy, but that's never broken down and given to people that there are different types of intimacy, right?
Yeah.
Because before we started researching and all these things, um, I don't think, like you said, we didn't even know
Yeah.
the different types and stuff like that or whatever. So, these are some thoughts that we're going to share with you on how to bring it into your relationship, bring it up, up the ante, just rebuild it back and put it in your relationship and cultivate it. Let me say, cultivate it within your relationship,
Now let me go ahead and
into
say
your
this
in your marriage.
before you start. Let me go ahead and say
Okay.
this: foreplay is not intimacy. That's all I got to say. It's a myth that, and most men think foreplay is intimacy,
Okay.
and that's not what it is.
Well, thank you for pointing it out. The first thing to actually cultivate it and just get it back going in your relationship is to make time for it. It says different things like you have to actually intentionally rebuild sexual intimacy by making time for it. And so it's a date night. It's a no, I'm sorry. It says a date night is not going to solve all your marital intimacy problems, but that's making time. That's going to add to it, right? We encourage date nights. We encourage spending time together. We encourage um spending uninterrupted time together, unhurried time together, conversations that can cultivate intimacy. And so what we found, even when we did the date nights with the couples, is that we would give them the questions to actually, like,
Talk.
jog
Yeah.
their memory, not what do you call it, I just drew a blank.
I don't know.
We would give them the questions to literally um cultivate that conversation for them to talk about, just not just talk about what bills we got to pay, or what the kids got to be picked up from hockey and this and all these things, but to cultivate more intimate conversation. That's what I was trying to say.
You say from hockey?
Pick the kids up from hockey or
Mm.
or soccer or whatever it is that they play. Kids play different sports.
You're right.
And so that it can actually specifically and take the time to intentionally make the time to spend time with your spouse. Create the space, whether it's in the bedroom and y'all gonna have a romantic dinner, watch a movie or talk. You want to do exercises that are not including y'all being on your cell phones, or maybe cut the movie, but to cultivate the conversation so you can get more intimate. The questions that we did last week on the last episode, those are questions that I believe cultivated intimacy between us, because of the fact that even though I've been with you for as long as we've been together, there are some things that I learned that night from asking you some of those questions. Remember I told you that I learned. Why are you looking at me like that?
I'm just looking at you.
And so
You cute.
thank you so much. You are as well, baby.
Let me.
You're not
rephrase
cute.
that.
You fine.
Let me rephrase that.
What?
You're gorgeous.
Thank you.
Because cute is little girl.
Yeah, and I'm far from.
You was gorgeous. I'm
full grown. And so that's the first one. Make time for sexual intimacy. Make time to, I'm touchy feely. That's my love language. And so Johnny knows that if I'm sitting by him, I want to rub his arm, or I want to touch his shoulder, or I want to, like he said today, I was, just touching him just because. He was like, "What are you doing?"
No, where it got a little weird at is that she took these things right here, and you know how back in the day you play with the little ear. You can't play with my ear with these things right here, and it didn't feel right. She was like, I was like, hey, what? I'm trying to drive. What you doing? What you?
Oh, gosh.
I was like, just take it. You took it up a level. Let's bring it back down. I ain't ready for that one yet.
Well, yeah. So I'm guilty of that. But at any rate, just do it intentionally. And like I said, different things. No, just going out on a date night. That's because a lot of times you'll go out, or you'll see people go out, and the couples are out and they're on their phones. We're guilty of doing it as well. But the way to create intimacy is not going to happen by being on your phones while you're supposed to be out at a date night with one another, conversating and talk about, what did you think about me when you first saw me? Do you, how do you feel about me now? What is it? What part of my body is the part that you love the most? How can I serve you better? Those are questions that can cultivate that intimacy, sexual intimacy with your spouse, while you're intentionally having relation with them. It's about relationship. And so I want to get to know you. I want to intentionally cultivate intimate conversations. And a lot of our intimacy comes in, I wouldn't say a lot, but we've expanded, because it's not just about sexual intimacy. It's about spiritual and emotional and physical as well. So we have, our relationship, of course, has grown into those areas of intimacy. And guess what? They need to be cultivated.
Yeah.
Right? So, yeah. So make sure y'all carving out the time, uninterrupted, unhurried time where y'all can actually do something. Take that time to cultivate the intimacy. And then a part of making the time and talking, and creating that space for y'all to have that time to create the intimacy is talking to your spouse. That's going to be a part of it. It says part of what the carving out of the time is to create the space to talk. And they're saying basically what I says. This day and age, we chain our phones. Phones, devices, I'm guilty of it. Johnny has had to say to me when we were, creating those intimate moments, and we did have like a movie on, and I was laying on his lap. We were on the couch, and I picked up my phone, and he was like, "Hey, this is supposed to be our time, right?" You're absolutely right. I'm sorry. And so, talking to your spouse, talking face to face with your spouse, and it actually talks about the Song of Solomon. If you have not read the Song of Solomon, get your Bible and go read it. Okay, that's all I'm going to say. It said the Song of Solomon is interpreted in a variety of ways, but what is undeniably true, whatever your interpretation, is the role of language and communication to convey love and intimacy. As Solomon and his bride speak to one another, you quickly realize the conversation is passionate, it's intimate, it's sensual, it's provocative. Those are all the things that I do, Johnny. And
the
you
book of
don't
Psalms,
understand sometimes why I'm so provocative
girl, you be just nasty sometimes.
and passionate and sensual
Nasty.
with my conversation.
Nasty.
But it says even in that and we talked about Song of Solomon on one episode as well.
Yeah.
It's been a long time, but there's freedom. It says there's freedom and generosity and how they speak to one another. That their love making is not stale or boring.
We're going to do a part two because we're going to read.
We really do need to.
Yeah.
And read y'all some scriptures out of Song of Solomon because
the book is off the chain.
The Lord ordained it, y'all. And it says there's a thoughtfulness and beauty that attends the way they complement one another.
Yeah.
In that. And so this part of it, this talking to your spouse, like I said, it needs to be intimate conversation. Not talking about the woes of the day or just whatever. I find the most intimate of conversations that we have is, when we are talking about, besides when, well, it may even be before, but a part of our intentional conversation and our intimacy is when we are talking about the goodness of the Lord. And when we talk about scriptures or when we talk about, something that the Holy Spirit gave us, or you may have, a word for me, or I may have one for you. That is very intimate for us. And so I'm glad that we were able to cultivate that because I craved for that earlier on in our marriage. And because that's just not where you were yet, I prayed about it for a long time.
Well, in the beginning, you didn't crave that. You just craved your boy.
Well, I don't.
You just crave. You had just crave your boy.
Don't take my words and just throw it around. You know exactly what I was saying.
You had wanted this. And then you found out that Jesus made this. And then you wanted to get to know the maker, the creator.
I did. And it took you longer to do that. Mm-hmm. However, and let me get back to what I was saying because Johnny is trying to be a distraction tonight.
I am. I'm always a distraction.
When you here are some questions to ask one another. Do you to talk about in your intimate time?
What you trying to put
do you and your spouse view your sexual intimacy as an overall part of the way you glorify God through your marriage? How often do you initiate sexual intimacy with your spouse? When was the last time you and your spouse were able to get away for an overnight trip? Long overdue for us. Have you and your spouse had a conversation recently about your sex life? We was just talking about this last night.
Yeah.
About you telling each one another what pleases you and what may work, what may not work anymore. What is, do that. And no, that ain't working too good for me right now.
That ain't my spot forever.
Right. And it's okay to talk about it.
Yeah.
It really is. What's one thing you could stop doing to improve your sex life? What obstacles, roadblocks, sins are hindering you from having a meaningful, intimate life with your spouse? What ways you're introducing variety and spontaneity into your lovemaking? Do you engage in affectionate touch with your spouse? Non-sexual, affectionate touch with your spouse. That's a part of intimacy. That's a part of it. And if you're not intentionally doing it, that's why it dies out. And we see that a lot of couples are needing help with not only communication or not only trust, but sex and intimacy. Yeah. Be quick to give. Be quick to give. Yep, I'm going to be quick to give it. Give my love to you. Be quick to forgive is what it says. Because a lack of forgiveness leads to a spirit of bitterness, And both of those will kill marital intimacy.
Yeah.
Like we told our couple last night as we were giving them their exercise. How can you be, you sensually touching each other and, being and getting in tune with one another if y'all mad at each other? That ain't gonna happen. Ain't no intimacy happening because you don't even want him to look at you, or you don't want to be bothered with her. It says a variety of reasons were discussed that contribute to intimacy struggles in marriage, and that's one of them: unforgiveness. And as I said, it'll kill the marital intimacy. It shouldn't be assumed that a wife is the one to always be the one who is not forgiving, because there are husbands who are not forgiving as well, that can hold grudges and for a long time, and be unforgiving, and so just time after time or a long period of time causes the heart to be hardened. And then you ain't trying to be intimate with nobody who you now holding a grudge over by something that's happened months and even years ago.
Now Pete over there, you starting to listen to what he say now. I'm talking about a person, Peter, not the Peter.
Jesus. Finish what you were saying, crazy.
I'm just saying that's
as far as like holding unforgiveness.
That's what will happen.
Yeah.
So the intimacy. So the intimacy, the sex part of it is. The sex part of it is what's wrong?
You took the tissue out of here?
The tissue down at the bottom right there.
Oh, I couldn't see it. Go ahead, I apologize. Thank you. Go ahead.
The sex part of it is, and I know we've said this in other podcasts, but we've always said it's a minimum part of it, because if you're batting on the sex part to be the majority of your relationship, then it won't last long.
Yeah.
It's but so many orgasms you can get. It ain't gonna fix nothing. It's a benefit. The intercourse is the benefit of what God created marriage to be. So the intimacy is definitely a part of that's a way of nurturing the relationship, becoming more one. That's a very, very important part. Cause like I said, that's the intercourse part is a benefit of it. It is used to reproduce, and we got that. But you don't need to reproduce and well, I'm gonna shut up. I ain't gonna say that. Go ahead.
You sure?
Yeah.
There wasn't just a mild way to say it.
It ain't. Let me say this. God created marriage and reproduction to be a certain thing. And as humans, with a lot of things that what something was designed to do, we will take it and we will kind of make it our custom made thing. And because it might work for you for a little while or whatever the case is, you feel like you are right. But I've always said, and I've told Deirdra this before, I said, our sex and intimacy is amazing still to this day. But I've always thought, what if we would have waited till we got married? Like, would he have done an extra grace on that thing?
Well, I think he put some extra grace on it after we got married.
I think so.
Because
it's always a line up. And I mean, he's the God of everything. So he already knew, once we tasted the nectar, it was going to be tough for us to not keep tasting the nectar.
I'm going to help him move on, y'all.
We ain't know.
I'm going to help him move on.
When it first happened, we ain't know. We just didn't know.
Okay, so listen, another area, because he
about
to act up.
Got me a little unfocused. I remember.
So listen, it's this one area, you don't make it no better. It says one area where a spirit of bitterness can come into is in the article it was saying that a lot they dealt or they I guess dealt with or talked to or was exposed to a lot of husbands who held unforgiveness because they felt as if their wife didn't show there was a lack of interest on their wife's part, and that they as the husband them as the husbands was initiating sex more than the wives did, and so in as a result of that they felt that the wives weren't interested. And so it says when husband and wife commit to a daily habit of confessing sin and forgiving each other, of course, a positive one of the a positive implication will be that will come from that will be a stronger relationship of honesty, security, and trust. And so we as women, and this is to the women, you can't just because we've been married for a long time, and so this was a conversation that Johnny and I had as well. He also wanted me to initiate. A lot of times he initiated, but again, as to the women out there, you initiate as well. I mean, it's your husband, and so whether it's the creating the whole ambiance of um, the date night or the dinner or lay out rose petals for him too. And we actually have some dissolvable rose petals that we gave away
Listen,
at the date night.
I love my wife. She's so beautiful. If you're gonna initiate it with your man, you know what your husband like.
Yeah.
So don't put no rose petals on no daggone bed,
guys.
If that ain't got nothing
ladies,
to do with.
I'm giving you an example because you don't. Some men will like that.
But listen, okay. I ain't finished.
Okay, because you ain't let me finish.
You know your spouse,
right?
So do what makes it. But husbands, if they're initiated, receive what it is, because most of the time men don't do the rose petals because it's never been done for them. They're always the ones that do it. But sometimes you just need to allow certain things to happen.
Let's switch it up.
Yeah, you need to allow certain things to happen. And for what Deirdra was talking about now, there's two reasons why a man feels like his wife doesn't want him anymore. One is she has been saying what she's needing from you, and you're not listening, or you don't know what it is. Most of the time, most women will tell you they want intimacy, and they will try to help you understand what that is. And men don't listen because they don't understand what intimacy is. They feel like the whole act is the intimacy part. If I put on some soft music and romantic music and dim the lights, then that's intimacy. That's not what it is. It's just not what it is. So the one thing is, the man is not listening to what his wife is saying. He don't want to, because of the pride, he don't want to say he don't know what intimacy is. Two, the wife has an expectation that he should know what intimacy is, and she's not opening her mouth and saying nothing to the man. So you just cutting him off because you expect him to be intimate with you in a different way, and he don't know what that is. And so again, there are some men. Yeah, there are some men. There are some men would say, "Baby, I don't know what that is. Tell me what you need. Give me the word." We always say in communication, the most important thing in communication is listening. When you put your GPS on to go somewhere that you've never been before, you listen to what the person is saying and how to get there. That's the only way you can get to the end. Why not listen? If this ain't the spot no more, tell me where the spot at. If you can't tell me, then let me figure it out. But you can't keep it. You just got to listen. Just listen. And most couples, they don't listen. We always say most couples, they don't listen to understand. They listen to respond. So regardless if a person says a 2-paragraph explanation of why they feel the way they feel or what's going on, you hear the first sentence, 3 words, and now you're just waiting for the moment to talk about that one sentence and them 3 words. Didn't hear nothing else they said. or vice versa. The listening part is so important, especially with this. When the older we got, I had to ask my wife stuff. And then I told her, I said, hey, if this don't work, then for you no more, then tell me what works. And then she just, no, nah, no, you can't do that. Now, give me something, man.
But what we were also talking about before he interrupted me was the mere fact that there are some women who don't initiate, and that could be because they don't know. That could be because
I thought I was on topic. I got off topic.
You did.
I don't think I got off topic.
Because what they were
Did
taught,
I get off topic, Jay?
Well, you said you turned it and say, well, the men are not giving the women what they need, and they've been saying it for a long time, or they too prideful to say that they don't know what that is. But what it was saying was
the expectation,
right? What they were saying was that some of the men felt like the women didn't initiate enough, and so they felt some type of way because they felt unwanted. And so what I was saying was that can be because some women, and your upbringing, your conversations with maybe mom or what you've been taught about sex, that all that plays a part into it. That's the piece I wanted to put in there.
But
because you don't know. Because it could have been that, well, this is what I was told about sex. I was told the man is supposed to initiate it. And I was told that, missionary style was the only style that I was supposed to do. People, especially when you're dealing with, Christian folk and stuff like that or whatever, or people in the church, religious folk. Let me say that, religious folk. And just different people, and it's not just for people in church, but it's in the world. Whatever your experience was as you were growing up, and who talked to you about sex and taught you about sex or all these things, that comes into the marriage as well. So that can be a part of it. That can be a part of, like you said, some trauma that has been there and hasn't been dealt with, and different things like that. So it's a lot that goes into that as well too. So I agree with what you said, but I was just saying as far as what I was talking about as well. For the men, because the men have, valid feelings as well. And so as Johnny did go to, and you weren't off topic. He got to the fact that this needs to be a part where the communication is flowing in this part as well. Because that's the only way that you're going to know. Right?
Mm-hmm.
What you looking up?
Go ahead.
Okay. I'm going to the next one.
Okay.
What are we talking about? Okay, cultivate non-sexual affectionate touch. As Johnny said, sex is great, but there's more to the intimacy. There's more to the relationship. There's more to getting to know one another. There's more than just sex, is what we're saying. So another part of rebuilding the marital intimacy is cultivating the non-sexual affectionate touch, sitting close to one another, sitting on the couch, hugging, laying on, one another's lap, holding hands, kissing, caressing, is, different things for different people, whatever cultivates that intimacy for you. And this, I want to share this because I think this is something that I was just talking about. It says the writer of this article said she counseled a couple who struggled with a variety of issues, and one was in their intimacy. The wife complained about how every time the husband wanted sex, he would begin to rub her feet. So what began as something enjoyable became a dread to her, because she knew that was the signal that he wanted to have sex, that he wanted something from her. So it was no longer a pleasurable, I guess, experience. And then you got to think about, if that's the only time you rubbing my feet, then that's not intimacy anymore, because I know I'm going to have to put out. In other words, again, if you're experiencing a drought in your relationship as far as sex, as far as intimacy, as far as all that's concerned, you'll be surprised. There are days when, the sex is not the goal. I just need a hug from my husband. And it's like that. We stand there and we connect, and that just takes, it seems like it just takes everything away that has been maybe worrying me or just whatever. It released, doesn't it release? What does it release, Johnny? Is it the dopamine or the oxytocin
Probably both.
or the the natures? Oh, okay. So things are released, hormones are released, chemicals are released with just a hug, a touch. It says affectionate embraces from a spouse can communicate deeply of care and love and in your marriage without the fact that every touch is going to lead to sex with, but just cultivating intimacy with you, with my spouse, and not us going or reverting to sex every time. Okay. And with this one, Johnny talked about this a little bit as far as they titled it "Enjoy Sex Now" because it's temporary, and so they say when they've married the couples, of course, sex was the first thing like at the forefront of their minds, but it says it's good that sex. It says it is good to remember that sex doesn't make a marriage. Is it good? Absolutely. But is it the ultimate thing to pursue in the marriage? No, because at the end of the day, y'all can be having sex like horses for the first 5, 10 years of marriage or however long. But there's more to marriage than just the act of sex. And that's why we wanted to talk about sex and the intimacy part of it. What are y'all doing if y'all could, because if y'all not having sex, every day, are y'all still being intimate? Are y'all cultivating the intimacy? Are y'all still cultivating that closeness with one another? And I think we even posed this question to one of our couples. What if for some reason one of you weren't able to have the act of sex anymore? Well, then what would happen? Was that it? Was that the all and end all for you in your marriage? Just the sex? There was no intimacy. There was no affection. There was no hugs, no kisses, no closeness. That's the more that is the intimacy part of it. It says, sex, like all of God's gift to us, is not an end to itself, but is intended to point to the giver of the gifts. And so I know for us, like Johnny said, it took us a minute to learn and to get to the point to where we had true intimacy in our marriage um, and understood what affection towards one another and taking the time to really know each other's hearts and just really really like be as one, because that's what it's about. Why are you looking at me like that?
I'm
You all
looking at
right?
you. Yeah, I'm all right.
Were you looking up something that you needed to add to it?
Well, how much more you got?
That was it.
So, I looked up. The actual teaching of sex education the proper way. Um, in school from 6th to 8th grade is the probably the most time that they talk about sex. It's anywhere between 40 and 50%. Um, and then it lags off. So it literally is like 28 to 35% once they ninth grade to 12th grade. And then in I guess in middle school is the eighth to ninth.
Middle school is like sixth, seventh, eighth, or seventh, eighth.
Okay, so
And then high school is like ninth through 12th.
so the ones below that, I guess the elementary, kindergarten, elementary, first grade, those, I think it's like a 20 percentile from what I saw. That was the highest one that I saw.
What, that they actually talk about?
Yeah.
Sex education?
But here's the thing. They consider sex education to be saying no to sex, what can happen if you have sex, STDs, how to put on a condom. Those are the things that they're talking about.
Yeah.
So the intimacy part is never taught.
It's not.
Being, you know, getting married, being married, because especially in now,
Yeah, but that's never been taught in schools.
We accept so much stuff now, just so much stuff. But anyway, anybody can create whatever they want to create, and then it becomes a part of our humanity. and some of this stuff don't belong there. But anyway, that's a whole nother.
Right.
The parts about intimacy is not taught. That's why it's so important to have premarital counseling before
Yeah.
you get you got to have it. I would virtue this. I would go as far as to say that in high school, that relationships and all this stuff needs to be talked about. The intimacy, the marriage, and why it's important and all that. They're not gonna do that because that's not. They have freedom. Everybody has freedom of speech, and we don't want to press that on them.
And they're not going to talk about it.
And my whole thing is, when did it become against the law for us to teach this particular way of doing it? I was going to say the right way, but some people might not see it like that. But everything else is being taught, but then we can't teach this part.
Well, in all actuality, Johnny, like we always know, it starts at home.
Oh, and then the
everything starts at home.
What I saw with the parents, so what it said, the CDC said how many teenagers talk to their parents, or parents talk to their teenagers at home. Y'all, that's like 23 to 27% in all age groups.
But that's what they're not gonna bring all that into schools, groups. Baby.
They're not talking about it.
That's and they talk, like you said, that's the generalization that they talk about at school. Condoms don't, if you're gonna have sex, wear a condom. STDs, this, that, and the other. But in all actuality, the home is where the teaching and the learning should begin.
And we talk about it.
Some of us talking about do what they, like I said, what they have seen mimicked in the home or a model before.
That's how they learn.
Or what sister so and so said, or this person or that. Excuse me. Just like when Kevin and Melissa was talking about, what the people at the church had said and all these things or whatever. And it used to be like the mothers in the church and stuff like that or whatever. And, just a whole bunch of stuff. We could go many different ways with this conversation. But at the end of the day, it is what it is. People are in marriages now and they're suffering because they don't know how to be intimate with one another. And, there was no premarital counseling to actually tell them like real, raw, relational stuff about what marriage, entails and what has happened or what could happen, or just, the different scenarios and the different things, and at least give them a general, measuring stick to go by. But that's not, a lot of people are getting married and we'd be like, y'all, did y'all have premarital counseling? No. We just really know we liked each other.
Yeah.
And he was my soulmate.
And they been living years.
She was my soulmate.
Married.
But right, living married and unsatisfied.
Married on paper, but not married for real.
Yeah.
So it's and I can go.
But we not. Because it's time for us to go.
I told you about shutting my mouth.
Bro. Well, you shut my mouth a few minutes ago. We got to go, baby.
I'm going to add this.
Okay, add it.
Parents, it is your responsibility to talk to your children. Mm-hmm. And if it's something that you don't know, there's nothing to be embarrassed about. Find out.
Excuse me.
Do research.
Yes.
And share stuff with your children.
Absolutely.
Your kids don't know because you never said nothing. You didn't know because your parents never said nothing. And it's just a generation of generations after generations of us not talking about the real stuff.
And not knowing and not seeking out to find out, or resources, people, books, things to help. Basically.
Yeah.
So
it's a lot. Did you know you can have an orgasm without intercourse with your spouse? And I ain't talking about oral or nothing like that. I'm going to leave that there. You blushing?
We about to go.
You blushing? Oh, you giggling.
Say goodnight.
You giggling?
Say goodnight.
You want to have one?
I'm all right, sir. Come on now. This is PG. Say goodnight to the people.
Man, these children know what orgasms is.
We hope that y'all learn.
Ain't no 5-year-old watching this.
We hope that y'all
But y'all 9-year-old and 10-year-old stop watching porn. That ain't real sex.
Got situations.
That's not real sex.
It ain't even. I'm not
It's
even saying
right.
the right thing.
Don't worry about it.
We hope that y'all got something out of the steps that we shared, the information that we shared. If y'all need us, info@momentswiththemobleys.com, or seek out somebody to get help. Don't just sit in your marriage and suffer.
Or send us questions. If you
we'll answer them.
If you don't want to talk about it, if you want to,
yeah, and we'll answer them.
Anonymous, that's what I was gonna say.
Yeah,
Incognito sound too much like the, Anyway, send us the questions if you want to ask anything. We pretty knowledgeable, so, and if we don't know, we'll find out for you. I think I'm a pretty good researcher, so. What you say?
You are.
All right. Well, I'm gonna go because I feel like my wife trying to rush. All right. So this had all things Mobleys with the moments. All things Mobleys. www.mobleyswiththemobleys.com. This has been Moments with the Mobleys. I am your man, Johnny Mobley.
And I'm his wife, Deirdra.
And we something like a ordinary couple.
With extraordinary purpose. Night, y'all.